was it, through the internet? If it was the internet, then what was the sites or chat rooms that he was visiting? Who were the people in communication with him? Who was sending him material to radicalize him? And many of these guys in the ISIS and the Al Qaeda and the other Islamic terror groups, they scour around for people like this who come on the internet sometimes, very innocently to just understand where this thing is coming from. And then, in the course of that interaction, if people sense that these are guys ripe for the picking, then of course, there's a sustained kind of an effort to get them, win them over, and then radicalize them. Again, Anand, one more point. In
Yeah.
this guy's case, he might have been radicalized, but the kind of attack he carried out was, the attack which the ISIS often tells its people, that, even if you
Right.
carry a knife or a machete or any of these instruments, you can, or even a car for that matter, you can go and you can carry out your jihad like that. So in that sense, I don't think it's very clear, in fact, that he didn't have
But
any
what's
training.
interesting, Sushant Sareen, is that in this case, like you said, the ISIS says carry out these lone wolf attacks. The intent in his diary is not to go to Syria and serve the ISIS. The intent is to go to Afghanistan and die for the Taliban.
Yeah,
Now
because
that also shows that somebody is pushing a particular narrative, and he's got a family where his brothers are part of the elite marine force. So, what
so
kind of narrative, what kind of literature is being pushed? And would you see that this is a growing trend? Would you want to see this in isolation, or would you want to put in what's happened in the last 2-3 years across schools and other cities, and not just in the US, many
see,
other nations, even in Europe?
Anand, a couple of things. The ISIS, in a sense, has been vanquished. At least it does not have a parastate anymore. It does not have any territory that it controls anymore, right? Unlike the Taliban, who have a state to themselves. That's the first point. The second is that the success of the Taliban against the most powerful military force in the world, which was not just the US but the entire NATO, uh, it also makes them, it attracts a lot of followers for them, right? People who are
Right.
disaffected with these countries. That's the second part. The third part is that the Taliban propaganda is still not up to the mark, but
Right.
the Al Qaeda might actually be, reaching out to many of these characters and then guiding them towards the Taliban, because the Al Qaeda and the Taliban have a very close association, a fraternal
Right.
relationship, if you will. So it is possible. I don't have any information, but it is possible because knowing a little about the Taliban propaganda machinery, it's not that effective or attractive. The Al Qaeda, however, has a certain amount of sophistication in attracting people. So it's possible it could be an Al Qaeda cell which is working on these kind of characters, and not so much the Taliban. But the Taliban are an aspirational group in some ways for many of the radicals because of the
Right.
successes they have on the battlefield.
But it is a concern that 19-year-olds are getting radicalized to the extent that they would go ahead and believe that what their own family is doing, serving for the country, is a sin, and they would go ahead and attack people in uniform, officers in uniform on duty at time near about Times Square on the 31st. We shift focus. Sushant Sareen, please stay on with us here on the Nation at 5. We shift focus closer home, where in just about 12 hours there have been two terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir, and that too in the Rajouri region, where after 4 civilians who were killed and over a dozen injured. This happened on Sunday. An IED blast took place in around the same house, killing 2 more civilians this morning, including one child. A massive search operation has been launched to track down the terrorists. There is a lot of anger among the locals. Rajouri was all shut down. Clearly, protests came out. There were many communities who have come out and organized protests. Protests will be organized even tomorrow, not just to condemn these attacks, but also questions being raised of the state administration. But there is a clear intent that is also manifest. We'll come to that in just a bit. Now, earlier, what has happened is that the locals kept all the 4 bodies of the civilians in the middle of the Dhangri checkpost and demanded that the LG Manoj Sinha visit the area and give them a written assurance about the safety of the Hindu community in Rajouri in this region. Listen into some of the reactions.
में जो जो लड़की इंजर्ड हुई है उसको ले जाते हुए सेना के जवान और जल्दी से कोशिश की जा रही है कि एम्बुलेंस यहाँ पे पहुंचे, उसको अस्पताल लेके जाया जा सके। राजीव तस्वीरों में बताने की कोशिश करो। अभी जो धमाका हुआ है उसमें 2 लोग जख्मी हो गए। दोनों जख्मियों को यहाँ से ले जाया जा रहा है। एरिया को कॉर्डन ऑफ कर लिया है। धमाका हुआ है, उनके कपड़े तक फट चुके हैं। इस समय उनको होश नहीं है। मैं तस्वीरों में सामने दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगी कि उनको हॉस्पिटल ले जाया जा रहा है। और एक बड़ा धमाका हुआ है। एक बड़ा धमाका आप देख सकते हैं कि इन महिला के कपड़े तक फट चुके हैं। इनकी तबीयत हालत इनकी खराब है। एम्बुलेंस का इंतजार किया जा रहा था कि ये जवान जल्दी से इसका मतलब है कि जब उन्होंने रात को फायरिंग की थी तब वहां पे वो ग्रेनेड भी था जो अभी धमाका हुआ है। वहां पर बहुत बड़ा धमाका हुआ है। एक आईडी ब्लास्ट हुई है। इस वक्त की सबसे बड़ी ब्रेकिंग आईडी ब्लास्ट हुई है। बच्चा घायल हुआ है, कंधे पे लगी है। क्या हुआ बेटा?
पता नहीं, बम आया था, लगी है।
बम आया था? अभी तो हम ठीक थे, हम आपके घर से होके आए हैं।
हाँ तो अभी आया।
धमाका हुआ है, बच्चे को लगी है। इस जिप्सी में घायलों को लेके जाया जा रहा है। उसी घर में एक बड़ा हमला हुआ है। आईडी ब्लास्ट का होना एक बड़ा सवाल पैदा कर रहा है यहाँ पर कि आईडी ब्लास्ट कैसे हुई। क्या सुरक्षा में कहीं कमी बरती गई? क्या कॉर्डन ऑफ जो एरिया किया था, सारे एरिया ने कॉर्डन ऑफ किया था, पूरा सर्च चल रहा था, तो क्या सर्च में कहीं कमी रही? गांव वाले डर चुके हैं। गांव का माहौल खौफजदा हो चुका है। सारे खामोश हो चुके हैं। सिर्फ सवाल हर एक की जुबान पे इतना ही है कि क्या कहीं सुरक्षा में कोताही बरती गई थी। न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया पर आप देख रहे हैं इस वक्त की सबसे बड़ी खबर। यहाँ पर आए तो थे फायरिंग की कवरेज करने की, लोग चले गए इस दुनिया से। 4 लोगों के शवों का अभी इंतजार था कि उनको दाह संस्कार करना है, लेकिन इतना बड़ा धमाका होना एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल यहाँ पर पैदा कर रहा है।
लोगों ने ये कहा कि हम बिल्कुल हिलेंगे नहीं, तब तक नहीं हिलेंगे जब तक कि एलजी खुद यहाँ नहीं आते हैं। एलजी मनोज सिन्हा यहाँ पे आएंगे, वो हम एश्योरेंस देंगे ये कि ये टेरर अटैक आगे से, ऐसे टेरर अटैक आगे नहीं होंगे, तो तब हम ये यहाँ से हटेंगे। अब देखिए लोगों ने यहाँ पे टाट भी लगाने शुरू कर दिए हैं और यहाँ पे ही ये अब बैठेंगे। धरना यहाँ पे ही शुरू होगा इनका। ये धरना तब तक चलता रहेगा जब तक कि इनको, और इन्होंने कहा है कि जो बॉडीज है, बॉडीज तब तक उनकी लास्ट राइट्स नहीं होंगे जब तक कि एलजी मनोज सिन्हा खुद यहाँ पे नहीं आते हैं। तो ये बड़ी जो चीज हो रही है यहाँ पे। और दूसरी तरफ अगर सिक्योरिटी की बात करें तो सिक्योरिटी को मजीद बीफ अप कर दिया है। सर्च ऑपरेशन, मैसिव सर्च ऑपरेशन लॉन्च किया गया है। जो 2 आतंकवादी आए थे वो कहाँ गए? तो ये बड़ी एक चिंताजनक बात है कि कश्मीर में टारगेट किलिंग होने के बाद कश्मीर में टारगेट किलिंग का सिलसिला भी चल ही रहा है। वहां के जो पीएम पैकेज एम्प्लॉयज हैं वो जम्मू में प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं क्योंकि उनके लोगों को वहां हत्या हो रही है, माइनॉरिटीज की वहां पे हत्या हो रही है। लेकिन अब शिफ्ट हो गया है वहां से जम्मू की तरफ।
And news is coming through. LG Manoj Sinha has reached Rajouri. Tejinder Sodhi joining us even as we have the visuals where the LG is meeting the family of the deceased and also the locals. Mind you, the locals had said that they will not allow the bodies to be cremated till the time the LG visits them. The LG has promised all action, but he is personally present there in Rajouri at the moment. Yes, Tejinder.
Yes, Anand, the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha, has reached Rajouri, wherein he is meeting the family member of all the 6 deceased who were killed by the terrorists. Anand, last night 2 heavily armed terrorists, which security forces suspect belong to the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror outfit, they entered the Dhangri village in Rajouri, wherein they first checked the Aadhaar card of the inmates of the house. They attacked 3 houses which were at a distance of 50 meters from each other, and after identifying that all are Hindus, they started firing towards them, and 4 inmates were killed. The terrorists, before leaving the house, planted an IED in one of the houses. When early this morning, when local residents, the relatives, they gathered there to show their solidarity with the family members of those killed in this cowardly terror attack, the IED explosion did take place, in which 2 children have lost their lives. three others have been injured and they are being treated at the hospital, Anand. But the people there, they were protesting. They were demanding that the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir
I'm just going to check with our team if we can get the audio. Ravinder Raina is speaking with the LG present there, and we have the DGP Dilbag Singh present. We'll see if we can get the audio there. Tejinder, stay with us on the phone. I'm just going to check if we have the audio, what's being spoken.
बड़ी गुड़िया बचिए तू तेरे से बचिए मादिया खुदे करता गला पत्रिए बड़े पुत्रा पुत्र जिया पूरा कार खाली भैया गुड़िया जिया मैं तोरा ना सो गाड़ी ना दे कुकू लड़ना लगी जा भैया कम नहीं पूछ के साथ बड़ा पुत्र दौड़ी का काम करी जड़ा वो है आधार कार्ड आया बढ़िया ही नहीं लग रही
और फिर एक हमारा लड़का है यहाँ बालाजी उसको मुबारक है बाले को इसने फिर अपनी पीसी की एक गन निकाली और इसने उनके ऊपर फायर किए, वरना पता नहीं 10, 20, 30 लाशें और गिरती। इसने उस बीडीसी की गन जो इसके घर में थी उसको लेकर उस पर फायर मारे और फिर वो भागे। टाइम उन्होंने वो सेलेक्ट किया कि 5 बजे और 7 बजे के बीच का साथ, ताकि लोग कभी खाना खाना घर में वो बना रहे होंगे। और ये सारी वैश्याना
We try and play out the clear audio, ladies and gentlemen, because it's a feed coming in from Rajouri. The mic which is being held is for a local address system by Ravinder Raina. We'll try and play out. But Tejinder, the locals were very, very angry. The whole place was shut down today. But what has happened is also targeted. The terrorists intended to harm Hindus. They wanted to selectively identify Hindus. And even in the ID blast, they didn't even care whether there were women, children there. They gunned them down, and they set off an ID blast in that very same house. This clearly has got the locals very, very angry. Has the LG's presence calmed people down there? What's the assurance that the DGP and the LG are giving the locals?
Indeed, Anand, this attack was aimed at Hindus because when the terrorists they entered in their houses, they first checked the Aadhaar card of all the inmates of the house. And after checking the Aadhaar card and confirming that this house belonged to the Hindu population, they started firing indiscriminately, in which 10 people, they were injured. 4 of them succumbed to their injuries, while others are being treated in various hospitals across Jammu and Kashmir. Yes, you rightly pointed out that there was anger among the people because ever since early morning, people have been protesting on the Dhangri road, main chowk of Dhangri, where they have been demanding that they would only cremate their loved ones only after the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha, visits the spot and gives the assurance to them that these type of attacks by the terrorists would not happen again. But the anger seems to be calming down, but there is anger against the terror outfit. People all across Jammu region, they protested.
वो अपूर्णीय क्षति हुई है उन परिवारों को, लेकिन जो बात आप लोगों ने बताई, मैं आपको भरोसा देता हूँ कि 100 साल तक जाएंगे, पूरे मामले की गहराई तक जाकर जितनी कठोरतम और प्रभावी कार्रवाई है वो की जाएगी। परिवारों को अपना परिवार मान करके प्रशासन जो भी करना होगा वो निश्चित रूप से बहुत शीघ्र कर देंगे। जो हमारे के लोग जो उनको संभाल रहे थे वो सब अविलंब 1 सप्ताह में हम सम्मान करेंगे। उसकी कड़ी में मुझे लगता है कि वक्त होगी इसमें और कोई बात नहीं। मैं संतप्त परिवार के साथ पूरी तरह खड़ा हूँ, पूरा प्रशासन खड़ा है। हम और मिल करके आपदा करा पूरा प्रशासन खड़ा है। हम और मिल करके
थोड़ा सा अभी
LG Manoj Sinha there assuring that the administration is with the family of the bereaved and that they will nab the culprits, and also that all possible assistance will be given. He's also saying there is no compensation for death and loss in a family, but we will do what is possible to ensure that this is not repeated. The assurance coming in, and clearly a very patient hearing that the locals have given the LG Manoj Sinha, who's not delayed his arrival to Rajouri, who is air dashed from Srinagar to Rajouri to meet the family of the bereaved, and also with the locals who are clearly very, very upset at this very targeted killing. We must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the information that we have here at CNN News 18 is that the terrorists checked the identity of the people who they killed, the civilians, the innocents, and then identified them as Hindus and then shot them dead. And not only that, they also set off IEDs at the same house, which also claimed the life of not just women but also children. This is how brutal they are, and this is the underlying hate that stands out. The LG present there because there is huge amount of ire among the locals, saying what is it that you're going to do to safeguard the lives of the locals and the Hindu community there, and those are the questions that have been asked. The LG Manoj Sinha assuring them. Let's go across to our guest, Dr. Nirmal Singh, former Deputy Chief Minister, Jammu and Kashmir, is with us. We also have SP Vaid, former DGP Jammu and Kashmir, and Sushant Sareen stays on with us. Even as we get the first comment from SP Vaid, one aspect is that this was targeted. They identified Hindus and shot them. Now, will you see this as desperation or now terror moving to a different theatre, that is Jammu, with the same pan-Islamist agenda?
Anand, there is no doubt about what you said. It is targeted killing. In fact, what they were doing in Kashmir Valley and for last about a year, and ultimately those modules were busted, and to large extent those targeted killings in Kashmir Valley have been controlled. I think the focus has been shifted to Jammu region, and with a deliberate aim. In fact, it reminds me of 1990s, late 1990s, when such massacres took place in the hilly regions of Jammu region, including Rajouri, Poonch, Doda, Kishtwar, and present Ramban district. I recall one massacre when on 26 January, passengers were downloaded on way to Kishtwar, were asked to deboard and then segregated on the basis of community and then killed. I think 25 of them, if I recall correctly. So and many more massacres on the hilly regions of Jammu region took place at that time. And it reminds me of that. In fact, this is deliberate targeting of a Hindu community, and there is a very specific purpose in this. It is, Jammu region, as it is very communally sensitive, and particularly the Rajouri district, and it is just to trigger a reaction from Hindu community so that there is backlash, and then the support which Pakistan's establishment is not getting from Muslim youth in Jammu region. Jammu region has been largely safe last about 2 decades, about more than 22 years. So it is an attempt to trigger violence, communal violence, and then get some recruits, which they are not getting. And other purpose which I can see is by doing such acts in Jammu region, they are trying to get forces, some of the forces spread to Jammu region so that pressure comes down in Kashmir Valley. That is what I see the purpose in it.
We've just got inputs coming through. The FSL team has also has come to the blast site and they're collecting evidence there. But our investigations editor Manoj Gupta getting us some inputs from top intelligence sources who are revealing to News 18 at this point that the Rajouri attack is an act of desperation, somewhere echoing the thoughts that SP Vaid just shared with us, that the Rajouri attack is an attack of desperation, is an act of desperation done with the intention of disturbing peace in Jammu and Kashmir. Sources say that the terror theatre is shifting towards Jammu now because it's easy to do targeted killings because of Hindus and Kashmiri Pandits present in large numbers there. The killings are being done with the intention of showing the administration in poor light and to display a communal divide between Hindus and Muslims. This type of attack suggests a Lashkar footprint, even though the TRF the Lashkar Front has come out and said that we are not involved. But somewhere to sow the seeds of divide, of communal divide, and like SP Vaidji was saying, get a reaction, trigger a reaction, and then perhaps allow the enemy to try and drive more recruits towards the terror footprint or towards terrorist organizations. Tejinder Sodhi joining us with more details. Yes, Tejinder.
Yes, Anand, you see, the sources within the intelligence network has told our editor, investigating editor Manoj Gupta, that the Rajouri Act is clearly an terror attack done with the intention to disturb peace in Jammu and Kashmir. Anand, the security establishment for quite long have been getting these inputs that Pakistan-based terror leaders, terror commanders, they are trying or planning to carry out a major terror strike on the Hindu population in Jammu region. If you remember, just a couple of months ago, a terrorist was arrested from Jammu and he was carrying an IED weighing around 5 kilograms, and he was tasked to plant that IED in a thickly populated area in a busy market so as to target the Hindus on their religious festival. But the attempt was foiled by the alertness of the security forces. Of late, there have been several chatters that have been picked by security agencies wherein the Pakistani handlers have been giving instructions to their cadre in Jammu and Kashmir to carry out these type of attacks. If you remember, just a few days ago, 4 dreaded terrorists were gunned down in Nagrota during an encounter with security forces, and they too were tasked to carry out attacks on the minority community in Jammu region. Yes, Anand.
Right. Now, we've seen the shift that is happening. Dr. Nirmal Singh is with us. Tejinder, thank you for your inputs. Dr. Nirmal Singh and Sushant Sareen also with us. Dr. Nirmal Singh, would you concur with SP Vaidji when he says that this is being done with a certain act of desperation and also deliberate intent to try and create a Hindu-Muslim communal fight there and riots there, which will help these terror organizations further try and radicalize Muslim youth and recruitment? Because what we are seeing overall now in Jammu and Kashmir is that among the people, among the masses, there is outright condemnation of these terror attacks. Although from the, erstwhile ecosystem, political ecosystem, there's finger pointing at the BJP and the Jammu and Kashmir state administration. But beyond that, they are not talking about this pan-Islamist intent of these terrorists.
Anand, whatever Dr. S.V. Vaid has said, it's a shift of strategy, because Jammu is very sensitive. More so, there's a Rajouri district. It's the same area where hundreds of Hindus were killed during 1947, and during this, right from 1990s, there's a number of attacks were held there. It's the same area where a number of recruits were recruited by these people, but now they are desperate because they are not finding young people to join them. So that's why they are trying to incite Hindu-Muslim rights. Because Rajouri is very sensitive, as has been said by Dr. S.P. Vaid. So that's a change of strategy. And moreover, these people, they are short of recruits also, short of manpower also. You have seen that during 2022, 180 terrorists have been killed by the security forces. Out of that, 50 were commanders. Because they are short of their recruits, they are short of ammunition, they are resorting to IED blast and all that. So it's a change of strategy to show their presence. But they are desperate, and ultimately they are not getting support from the people, local people, whether it's in the Kashmir Valley or in the Jammu province, in hilly areas of Rajouri, Poonch and Doda. So that's why under this desperation, the Pakistan has changed this strategy to show their presence. That's the basic, you can say, scene, which is there in Jammu and Kashmir as of now.
Ji, Sushant Sareen? before I play out what Farooq Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti had to say, Sushant Sareen, your thoughts on what's happened in Rajouri?
Anand, I agree with some of the stuff which Dr. Ved has said, but frankly speaking, I have been hearing that terrorist attacks are attacks of desperation for the last 30 years. Uh, and so I don't buy this desperation bit. I think this is a very deliberate act. And for some of the reasons which Dr. Ved has also counted out, that maybe they won't, there is and there has been a shift of the geography of terrorism towards Jammu. We've seen a number of attacks in the past. So no surprises there. In this particular case, I think there was this attack, although it was clearly targeted at the Hindu population, it was not recce'd before. Because if you've already recce'd the place where you want to attack, you don't ask people for their ID cards. So it was a random place which they selected, and then they went to check whether there were any non-Hindus out there whom they would have segregated, but they found only Hindus and they shot them dead. The reasons are very clear. One of the reasons which neither of my two esteemed colleagues have mentioned is that in Pakistan, for example, they have been indicating that India should not think that because of Pakistan's own problems, Pakistan is no longer in the fray as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. You've seen the kind of poisonous language Bilawal Bhutto and his junior minister Hina Rabbani Khan have used, or other Pakistani leaders have used. That, to my mind, is a very clear indication that the Pakistanis want to indicate to India that, look, we are very much in the fray and we can expand this geography of terrorism the way we want to. So I think this attack is one of the attacks in that particular direction. And my fear is that we might end up seeing a few more of these attacks, which means that the RR and the other security forces in this region, who have kept a very tight control, but they probably need to pull up their socks a little more, because in Kashmir, the kind of security presence which is there, both of the Jammu Kashmir police as well as the RR is quite fearsome. Somebody might carry out an attack, but ultimately they are eliminated. In Jammu, I think we need to get down to that level of competence which we have seen in the valley. And it might take a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, but I think we'll get there. So it's a very tragic incident. It's a horrible loss for the people who've lost their loved ones. Completely understand their anguish. But I think we just have to brace ourselves for more such attacks going forward. And then ultimately eliminate these.
The bone I would have want to pick with the administration is that 3 years down the line after the abrogation of 370, and now there is hard and fast security blanket that's been drawn. How is it that these attackers have the gumption and the ability to attack at will and strike at will, and that too in areas which should have been far more secure than other regions? And if there was an intent that Jammu was going to become the hot theatre of action, it's been there since the time the drones were sighted. So where was the readiness? These are questions that remain. Farooq Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti, and then we'll go back to Nirmal Singh ji.
देखिए, बहुत ही दिलदोज़ वाक़या है जिसमें हमारे फिर से एक बार 5 लोग, जिसमें एक छोटा 5 साल का बच्चा भी है, इस तरह से वो मारा गया। और इस वक्त हम क्या कह सकते हैं, इसकी हम मज़म्मत करते हैं। जो उनके घर वाले हैं उनके साथ हम हमदर्दी करना चाहते हैं और अल्लाह ताला से दुआ करते हैं उनको सब्र व तहम्मुल दे अल्लाह ताला इसको बर्दाश्त करने की। ये हमारा ही नुकसान है, जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों का नुकसान है। जब भी कोई जम्मू कश्मीर का बाशिंदा मारा जाता है, चाहे वो हिंदू हो मुसलमान हो, वो हमारा बाशिंदा है। तो इसमें क्या करें, अफसोस के बगैर और क्या कर सकते हैं। हमको तो पिछले 30 साल से यही देख रहे हैं, इधर भी बंदूक बीच में लोग मारे जा रहे हैं।
देखिए, ये बहुत ही दुख की बात है कि आतंकवाद अभी भी इस रियासत में चल रहा है। बेगुनाहों को मारा जा रहा है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है। वो बेगुनाह लोग, वो किसी भी मजहब से ताल्लुक रखते हैं। ये बीमारी अब बहुत बढ़ गई है। सारे वतन में नफरत जिस तरह फैलाई जा रही है, तो इस पे होम मिनिस्ट्री में रास्ता निकालने की जरूरत है। मैं समझता हूँ ये बर्बादी का रास्ता इख्तियार किया जा रहा है। जो भी कर रहा है बर्बादी का इख्तियार। इससे कुछ नहीं निकलेगा। हमारी बाउंड्रीज बदलेंगी नहीं और हमारी बर्बादी और तेज हो जाएगी, नफरतें और बढ़ जाएंगी। इन नफरतों को दूर करने का रास्ता ढूंढना।
Nirmal Singh ji, would you want to react to Farooq Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti?
Anand, it's very shocking that two former chief ministers, when they are trying to identify themselves with the victims, they are not prepared to identify the enemy. Whosoever has done it, who has done it, let them spell out. It's Pakistan, it's jihadi terrorists. These are Pakistanis. And these people, they are not prepared to even name them. This is tactical start to this terrorism. They are only shedding crocodile tears. That's unfortunate part of Jammu and Kashmir. That's a tragedy of Kashmir. This is very unfortunate. They only sympathize. This is only lip service. There's no sympathy. So this is very unfortunate. This is the time when they must rise above the party politics, above this, all these things. Whosoever has been killed.
Interestingly, these two people who are former chief ministers of the erstwhile state of Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, they will talk about dehshat across the country, but they will not call these people dehshatgard or terrorists. They will still call them militants. But SP YG, when it comes to the security concern in the Jammu region, this region, do you believe that the authorities could have done better? How many more lives would have to be lost?
Yes, Anandji, I think authorities could have done much better. There is a requirement of, we know how the establishment across wants to disturb. We have, right from the beginning of last year, we have been seeing the pattern. You had a infiltration bid in Poonch early last year, and then engagement with army, where army had suffered certain casualties. Then you had attack on the army camp, a suicidal attack a few weeks back. You had a civilian killing in Rajouri. You had a bomb blast in Udhampur. There was a recovery in Kathua. Then two encounters, in which 4 terrorists got killed in Sidra, Jammu, and then earlier on the toll post. So intent is very, very clear, and any security person would understand that Jammu is being targeted, and I think alertness is required at the highest level, particularly in this region. Kashmir, the security is as robust as Sareen was telling. I think what more is required is, if you recall in 1990s, when such massacres took place, the village defense committees played a key role, and people of Jammu region have been very, very pro-country and very nationalist, and I think that needs to be revitalized, and the police and administration needs to play a vital role in reviving those role of civilians in this security grid. This would definitely help the administration.
Yeah, more importantly, there needs to be people who will openly call out this pan-Islamist agenda, this entire othering and this selective targeting. There cannot be any silence or mollycoddling of that. And those who refuse to call these elements as terrorists and enemies of Bharat, that is also a huge problem. We will take this forward later tonight on the Right Stand at 8 p.m. But for the moment, Sushant Sareenji, SP Vaitsab and Nirmal Singh ji, thank you very much for joining us here on The Nation at 5. We'll take a very short break. Stay with us.
क्या बयां कर रहा है। आप देखिए ये एरिया पूरा खौफजदा हो चुका है, पुलिस की गाड़ियां भी यहाँ पर पहुँच चुकी है, एरिया पूरा कॉर्डन ऑफ हो गया था। फिर ये धमाका आखिर कैसे हुआ, ये सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस पे एक बड़ा सवालिया निशान खड़ा हो चुका है कि कैसे आखिर ये कैसे हुआ। ये अगर सारा एरिया कॉर्डन ऑफ था, सारा एरिया को कॉर्डन ऑफ कर लिया था, बड़ी सर्च ऑपरेशन चल रही थी, बड़ी सेना की गाड़ियां, बड़ी सेना की टुकड़ियां यहाँ पर देखी गई, इतना बड़ा सर्च चल रहा था, फिर आखिर इतना बड़ा आईडी ब्लास्ट कैसे हुआ, तो जाहिर सी बात है कि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस पे एक बड़ा सवालिया निशान। अगर सर्च ऑपरेशन इतनी बड़ी थी तो इतना बड़ा धमाका उसी घर में कैसे हो जाता। ये लोग जो तस्वीरों में आपने देखा, ये लोग तो आए थे अफसोस करने के लिए उस घर में जिन लोगों की जान चली गई थी। आए तो थे आंसू बहाने जिन लोगों की रात को जाने चली गई, लेकिन इन्हें नहीं मालूम था कि आए हैं हम अफसोस करने और यहाँ पर हो कुछ और जाता है। आए तो थे वो उनके लिए आंखों में आंसू बहाने, लेकिन अपने आप को ही वो जख्मी कर देते हैं। बहुत बड़ा सवालिया निशान यहाँ पर खड़ा हो गया। इतनी बड़ी सर्च ऑपरेशन तो फिर कैसे हुआ। आईडी ब्लास्ट वीडियो जर्नलिस्ट राजीव बख्शी के साथ कोमल सिंह, न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया, राजौरी।
Okay, let's go over to my colleague Tejinder right now to understand. Tejinder, if I can... All right. Before we are able to re-establish that connection with my colleague Tejinder, who is joining us in a little while, let me just confirm for you the details that we do have about this entire story. As you've just been told, this is an incident that originally took place yesterday. The first part of this incident is that there was an attack in the Rajouri area. Now, during that attack, 4 civilians were killed. The manner of the attack has been given much attention to. A, that it took place in Jammu. Remember, over the last year, we've seen a spate of such killings take place. However, they have largely been focused in Kashmir. Let's go over to my colleague Tejinder. Tejinder, shocking details that are coming in. Very important to confirm them with you too. I just want to go over the details with you once. First, Tejinder, can you highlight for us what our reporter on the ground is telling us is that media officials were present in the house of one of the people who passed away yesterday. It's at the moment, while multiple media outlets were present there, that an IED actually went off, further harming more people. I believe some people have been taken to hospital. Are these details correct?
Yes, indeed. The initial investigation suggests that when the people had come to mourn the killing of a civilian who was killed last night by the terrorists in the Dhangri village of Rajouri. People from various parts, their relatives, they had come to mourn. There were also media contingent that was present there covering the event, the tragedy there. There was an IED which seems to be a booby trap that was planted by the terrorists in the house, which exploded. And now we are told that 2 people, including a child, has been injured in this fresh IED blast that took place.
Back on the Nation at 5 with news just coming in from Chandigarh, where there has been a live bombshell that's been found around 500 meters from the Chief Minister's helipad. This has happened in Chandigarh. Manoj Rathi is joining us live. Manoj, namaste. बताएं क्या हुआ वहाँ?
बिल्कुल यहाँ पर अभी हम जहाँ खड़े हैं बिल्कुल मौके पर, उसके बिल्कुल बैक साइड पे अगर हम बात करें तो लाइव सेल यानी कि लाइव सेल बॉम्ब सेल जो है वो मिला है। और आपको बता दें कि जैसे आपने भी जिक्र किया कि जो सीएम पंजाब के जो हेलीपैड है उससे महज 200 से 300 मीटर की दूरी पे है, क्योंकि ये जो एरिया है ये बॉर्डर एरिया है, यानी कि चंडीगढ़ और पंजाब का ये बॉर्डर एरिया है, बिल्कुल बैक साइड का एरिया है। और इसकी अगर हम बात करें बैक साइड पर ही सेक्रेटरीट है और कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर यहाँ पर बैठते हैं पंजाब हरियाणा के, और उसके बिल्कुल बैक साइड पर हेलीपैड भी बनाया गया है 200 से 300 मीटर की दूरी पर। तो कह सकते हैं कि काफी अहम हो जाता है।
ये शेल किसको मिला मनोज?
बॉम्ब यानी कि ये जिंदा जो बॉम्ब सेल है वो ये जो बॉम्ब सेल है, जो अभी तक जानकारी मिली है कि एक राहगीर ने पुलिस को इन्फॉर्मेशन दी थी कि यहाँ पर जो आम के बाग है, ये पूरा आम के बाग है, ये बॉम्ब जो है बॉम्ब टाइप का यहाँ पर पड़ा हुआ है। और उसके बाद जब पुलिस यहाँ पर पहुंचती है, रेस्क्यू टीम यहाँ पर पहुंचती है, ऑपरेशन सेल यहाँ पर पहुंचता है, तो इसको जो है वो पूरा प्रोटेक्ट कर दिया गया है। देख सकते हैं तस्वीरें कि पूरा एक जो आसपास का जहाँ पर बॉम्ब है वहां पर पूरा प्रोटेक्ट कर दिया गया है। और अब आर्मी को जो है इन्फॉर्मेशन दी गई है, आर्मी यहाँ पर कुछ देर में पहुंचेगी और उसके बाद इसको डिफ्यूज जो है वो किया जाएगा या फिर यहाँ से लिया जाएगा, वो आर्मी जो है वो डिसाइड करेगी। लेकिन सवाल कई हैं कि आखिर यहाँ पर बॉम्ब जो लाइव सेल है, बॉम्ब लाइव सेल है, वो आया कैसे, क्योंकि काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया है, काफ़ी सेंसिटिव एरिया है। चंडीगढ़ पुलिस और जो पंजाब पुलिस है वो दोनों ही मिलकर अब इन्वेस्टिगेट करेंगे कि आखिर ये जो बॉम्ब लाइव सेल है वो यहाँ पर कैसे आया, किसने रखा। ये बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं क्योंकि मैटर काफ़ी सेंसिटिव है, इसलिए लेकर जो रेस्क्यू टीम है और जो चंडीगढ़ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, चंडीगढ़ पुलिस है, जो सीनियर ऑफिसर्स हैं, वो आपस में कोऑर्डिनेशन कर रहे हैं और ये इन्वेस्टिगेट करने का बताया जा रहा है कि पूरा आसपास जो एरिया है वो भी लिविंग है, यानी कि नया गांव शुरू हो जाता है।
लेकिन इस एरिया में कोई सीसीटीवी फुटेज है किसी के आने जाने का है, या ये ओपन एरिया है? और इस तरह ये जो बॉम्बशेल है इसका कोई मेक है, ये ऐसे यहाँ पर लाइव कैसे पड़ा हुआ है, इसके बारे में कोई भी बातचीत हुई है? कोई पुलिस ने कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन दी है? आप कह रहे हैं कि आर्मी आकर ही इसको डिफ्यूज करेगी?
देखिए,
तो ये आया कैसे? किसी के आने जाने की नजर कोई पड़ी है? क्योंकि आपने कहा कि इसके पीछे सेक्रेटेरिएट एरिया है, तो क्या ये सीसीटीवी से कवर्ड है ये एरिया?
देखिए, जैसे कि आपने जिक्र किया कि ये पूरा बॉर्डर एरिया है, चंडीगढ़ और पंजाब का बॉर्डर एरिया। हालांकि सेक्रेटेरिएट जो है करीब 500 मीटर की एरिया है, क्योंकि इसके जहां पर ये मिला है, जहां पर राहगीर ने इसकी पुलिस को इन्फॉर्मेशन दी थी, ये पूरा आम के बाग है, पूरा खुला एरिया है, पहली बात। हालांकि आसपास सीसीटीवी पुलिस जो है वो पूरा खंगालेगी, क्योंकि ये खाली एरिया है तो सीसीटीवी भी यहाँ पर होगी या नहीं होगी, हालांकि ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन का मैटर है, लेकिन वो बाद की बातें हैं। सबसे पहले इसका जो पुलिस और एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और जो आर्मी को इन्फॉर्म किया गया है, इसको पहले डिफ्यूज कराएं, क्योंकि ये लाइव सेल है। जो जानकारी रेस्क्यू टीम के जो हेड है उन्होंने जानकारी दी है, क्योंकि ये जिंदा सेल है, लाइव सेल है, इसीलिए सबसे पहले इंपॉर्टेंट ये हो जाता है कि इसको डिफ्यूज किया जाए, इसको पूरी तरह से नष्ट किया जाए, और उसके बाद फिर इन्वेस्टिगेशन शुरू होगी कि आखिर ये लाइव सेल यहाँ पर पहुंचा कैसे। बहुत ही सेंसिटिव मैटर है, क्योंकि आसपास एक चीज और है कि आसपास जो जहां पर ये मिला है उसके बिल्कुल सामने जो कबाड़ी की शॉप्स हैं वो भी हैं, तो ये भी जो है वो शक जताया जा रहा है कि या फिर किसी कबाड़ी के पास ये आया हो और उसने यहाँ पर रख दिया हो, ये भी एक बताया जा रहा है। हालांकि पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेशन का मैटर है कि आखिर ये कैसे आया, ये तो अब इन्वेस्टिगेट होगी तो पता चलेगा, लेकिन सबसे पहले इसको डिफ्यूज करने की जो तैयारी है वो की जा रही है आर्मी के साथ, क्योंकि जैसे आपने जिक्र किया कि आर्मी को क्यों बुलाया गया है। किसी भी तरह से कोई इस तरह का लाइव सेल या बॉम्ब सेल मिलता है तो सबसे पहले जो कंसर्न डिपार्टमेंट है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, रेस्क्यू टीम है, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की टीम है, वो आर्मी को कांटेक्ट करती है, क्योंकि इस तरह के जो लाइव सेल मिलते हैं उनको डिफ्यूज करने का जो प्रोटोकॉल है या फिर जिस तरह से प्रोसेस है वो आर्मी का या फिर जो उन कंसर्न जो डिपार्टमेंट है उनका होता है। तो कह सकते हैं कि अब ये पूरी तरह से अब इसको यहाँ से प्रोटेक्ट कर दिया गया है, पूरा तरह से यहाँ पे रेत के जो साइड में जो प्रोटेक्टिव है ऊपर इसका जो लगा के पूरा इसको ढक दिया गया है, और आसपास का जो एरिया है उसको सील कर दिया गया है, जिसको लेकर अब कह सकते हैं कि जो पुलिस के
मनोज धन्यवाद आपके अपडेट के लिए। सो क्लियरली a bomb scare, a live bombshell that's been found just 500 meters from the Chief Minister's helipad. His residence is close by. This is on the Chandigarh-Punjab border. There is also the Secretariat not so far away, and now the army being called in to defuse this bombshell. There's a scrapyard in the vicinity. So did one of the scrap leaders just offload it, leave it there? These are all matters which are still subject of investigation. We're going to take a short break. We shift the spotlight towards the south of India, where there is trouble brewing in Tamil Nadu and also in Kerala. Stay with us.
एरिया चारों तरफ से घेरा हुआ है, फिर आईडी ब्लास्ट का होना एक बड़ा सवाल पैदा कर रहा है। यहाँ पर बड़ा सवाल यहाँ पर पैदा कर रहा है कि आईडी ब्लास्ट कैसे हुई, क्या सुरक्षा में कहीं कमी बरती गई, क्या कॉर्डन ऑफ जो एरिया किया था, सारे एरिया ने कॉर्डन ऑफ किया था, पूरा सर्च चल रहा था, तो क्या सर्च में कहीं कमी रही? गाँव वाले डर चुके हैं, गाँव का माहौल खौफजदा हो चुका है, सारे खामोश हो चुके हैं। सिर्फ सवाल हर एक की जुबान पे इतना ही है कि क्या कहीं सुरक्षा में कोताही बरती गई थी। न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया पर आप देख रहे हैं इस वक्त की सबसे बड़ी खबर। यहाँ पर आए तो थे फायरिंग की कवरेज करने की, लोग चले गए इस दुनिया से। 4 लोगों के शवों का अभी इंतजार था कि उनका दाह संस्कार करना है, लेकिन इतना बड़ा धमाका होना एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल यहाँ पर पैदा कर रहा है। कॉर्डन ऑफ किया था एरिया, अगर सर्च ऑपरेशन यहाँ पर अगर चलाई जा रही थी, 12 घंटे से ज़्यादा हो गया सर्च ऑपरेशन अगर चल रही थी, तो इतना बड़ा आईडी ब्लास्ट का होना क्या बयां कर रहा है। आप देखिए ये एरिया पूरा खौफजदा हो चुका है, पुलिस की गाड़ियां भी यहाँ पर पहुँच चुकी है, एरिया पूरा कॉर्डन ऑफ हो गया था। फिर ये धमाका आखिर कैसे हुआ, ये सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस पे एक बड़ा सवालिया निशान खड़ा हो चुका है कि कैसे आखिर ये कैसे हुआ ये। अगर सारा एरिया कॉर्डन ऑफ था, सारा एरिया को कॉर्डन ऑफ कर लिया था, बड़ी सर्च ऑपरेशन चल रही थी, बड़ी सेना की गाड़ियां, बड़ी सेना की टुकड़ियां यहाँ पर देखी गई, इतना बड़ा सर्च चल रहा था, फिर आखिर इतना बड़ा आईडी ब्लास्ट कैसे हुआ। तो जाहिर सी बात है कि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस पे एक बड़ा सवालिया निशान। अगर सर्च ऑपरेशन इतनी बड़ी थी तो इतना बड़ा धमाका उसी घर में कैसे हो जाता। ये लोग जो तस्वीरों में आपने देखा, ये लोग तो आए थे अफसोस करने के लिए उस घर में जिन लोगों की जान चली गई थी, आए तो थे आंसू बहाने जिन लोगों की रात को जाने चली गई, लेकिन इन्हें नहीं मालूम था कि आए हैं हम अफसोस करने और यहाँ पर हो कुछ और जाता है। आए तो थे वो उनके लिए आंखों में आंसू बहाने, लेकिन अपने आप को ही वो जख्मी कर देते हैं। बहुत बड़ा सवालिया निशान यहाँ पर खड़ा हो गया। इतनी बड़ी सर्च ऑपरेशन तो फिर कैसे हुआ। आईडी ब्लास्ट वीडियो जर्नलिस्ट राजीव बख्शी के साथ कोमल सिंह, न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया, राजौरी।
Okay, let's go over to my colleague Tejinder right now to understand. Tejinder, if I can... All right. Before we are able to re-establish that connection with my colleague Tejinder, who is joining us in a little while, let me just confirm for you the details that we do have about this entire story. As you've just been told, this is an incident that originally took place yesterday. The first part of this incident is that there was an attack in the Rajouri area. Now, during that attack, 4 civilians were killed. The manner of the attack has been given much attention to. A, that it took place in Jammu. Remember, over the last year, we've seen a spate of such killings take place. However,
back on the Nation at 5 with news just coming through. Big development. Ruckus has broken out at a DMK meeting in Chennai on Sunday after policemen attempted to detain 2 DMK functionaries for allegedly molesting a woman police constable. As the policemen were detaining the accused, party cadres surrounded them and created a scene. Now DMK MP Kannimozhi had also participated in the event, and we're given to understand this act of allegedly molesting a woman police constable happened when Kannimozhi was on the dais at the event. Now, as the meeting came to an end, a woman police officer was seen crying after 2 suspects named Praveen and Egambaram allegedly misbehaved with her. Police surrounded these miscreants when they tried to flee, but an inspector nabbed both of them. However, as the cops tried to detain them and take them to the police station, DMK cadres surrounded them. The men were let go since no complaint was registered. And the BJP in the state has picked this up. There are also reaction coming in. Listen in.
If a police constable has this much of security in front of DMK Deputy General Secretary, cadres and leaders, imagine about the plight of women and children in the state of Tamil Nadu. So we are saying that when DMK comes to power, the law and order will be in shambles. This event is a testimony. DMK, under the incompetent regime and rule of the king, Mr. Stalin, will snatch the title from Rajasthan and is all set to give the title Tamil Nadu as the molestation and rape state of India.
BJP State President K. Annamalai taking to Twitter and also asking Kannimozhi whether she will take action against the cadre, because the cadres stopped the cops from arresting these 2 DMK functionaries who molested a woman constable there. That's the allegation. The AIADMK also raising questions. Purnima Murli now joins us with more details. Yes, Purnima.
Well, what really happened on Saturday, it was this event took place in Virugambakam in Chennai in the presence of DMK MP Kannimozhi and also the Virugambakam MLA. And in fact, the woman constable was trying to ensure that no untoward incident takes place while she was reportedly molested by 2 DMK functionaries. And she started crying when this entire incident happened. The inspector who was on the spot rushed there and tried to arrest arrest the two DMK functionaries who reportedly assaulted the constable. She's a 22-year-old constable, and when he was all set to try and detain them, the DMK cadre then surrounded them, and then the DMK MLA reportedly intervened, saying that no action should be taken. Remember, the woman constable had filed a complaint, but so far no FIR has been registered in this case.
Well, the fact is, you are saying that there is a complaint that's been filed, but at this point, at that time, the cadre surrounded them and they ensured that the cops don't detain these two who have been named as Praveen and Egambaram. Narayanan Tirupati of the BJP also with us on the phone. Namaskaram, Mr. Tirupati. The BJP has also questioned the conduct of the DMK functionaries, the alleged molestation, and they have also alleged that Kanimuri was there on the stage at that time.
So that is shocking, Anand. That is shocking and surprising. Kanimuri, who claims that she is for women's rights, and now today what happened is in her public meeting when Kanimuri and Tamilichi Tangapandian, two women MPs were there, in front of them this has happened and they are keeping quiet. This is atrocious to the core. The Legislative Assembly member Prabhakaran, he is from Virugambakam constituency. He had ordered the police not to take any action. So the elected representatives has not done anything. This is really frustrating and this is disgusting. The DMK, which claims that they are for social upliftment and social justice, has failed once again, and their atrocious face, it has been, they have exposed themselves. And I think they should be arrested. These two should be arrested immediately.
Mr. Tirupati, just please stay with me. I'm just going to quickly check with Purnima. Purnima, has a former complaint been registered by the woman police constable? Because she came out crying. That's what the incident report is. It's outlined. Senior cops also nabbed these two who were trying to run away from the place. But at that time, they were let go of because no complaint was registered. So has a formal complaint now been registered?
Well, a formal complaint was registered because the inspector was at the site, and then they tried to detain the two DMK functionaries when the DMK Virugambakam MLA had reportedly intervened and asked the police officials to not make arrest. But so far, no FIR has been registered, which is why the opposition parties in Tamil Nadu say that it's high time that two of the functionaries who reportedly assaulted the constable should be arrested at the earliest. And why is the government silent on this issue for the last 2 days? Why is no action taken? Why is no FIR filed is something that the opposition is raising. But the DMK so far has remained silent on the issue. What we are given to understand is that the woman constable had filed a complaint in this case, but no FIR has been registered yet, is what the police sources from Virugambakam tell us.
Well, thank you for your inputs, Purnima. I've got Mr. Kovai Satyan of the AIADMK also with us. So, Mr. Kovai Satyan and Mr. Narayanan Tirupati, the woman constable has registered a complaint, but no FIR has been lodged at the Virugambakam police station. And these two, despite being nabbed by a senior police officer while they tried to run away from that event, they still are not behind bars and they have not been arrested, Mr. Satyan.
Shows the sad state of affairs under the incompetent M.K. Stalin's rule in Tamil Nadu. There is no security for a women constable. Think about the plight of a common woman and a child in the state. And there is a high amount of political pressures from all angles asking the police senior officials not to act on this. They say that she has only given a verbal complaint. Say the woman constable has given only a verbal complaint, so they are not able to act upon her complaint. When it is a duty of the higher officials to ensure that a formal complaint is received, registered, and they have to take action. And every police in the state has become the puppets in the hands of DMK. And DMK office bearers, elected representatives, MLAs, MPs, go all out to support who take law into their own hands. Such is the sad state of affairs in Tamil Nadu. And Mr. Stalin remaining a mute spectator after so long.
No, but isn't it shocking that the cops actually nabbed the two people, but then they let them go because of the pressure from the DMK? Now, what kind of situation are we looking at, Mr. Narayanan Tirupati?
Anand, what I would like to say is the police should have acted immediately. The people have lost confidence in police. This is very dangerous. If people lose confidence in police, they lose faith and trust in police, then who is going to save Tamil Nadu? The entire law and order problem in Tamil Nadu is just because, like this, the police should have taken, whether they get pressure from DMK or not, even if they receive orders from the chief minister, they should not, but they should not. It is their police women who was disrespected and molested. 100% the police should have acted. It is really a shameful act what the police have done.
No, indeed, and quite shocking that a woman police constable being molested, that's the allegation. There are officers who are present there. They nabbed these two DMK functionaries, but then they let them go. Mr. Kovai Satyan and Mr. Narayanan Tirupati, thank you for your time and joining us on the phone line. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of The Nation at 5. Zaka ready with Viewpoint. Stay with us.
Good evening, this is Viewpoint. I'm Zaka Jacob. A very happy new year at the outset of a brand new year. May you have health, prosperity and wisdom through 2023. And in what was a significant verdict on the very first working day of 2023, today a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court upheld the validity of demonetization. Demonetization of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, which was cancelled by the central government in November of 2016. 4 judges opined in favor. One judge, Justice Nagaratna, dissented. She said that while the objective of demo was good, the procedure to introduce it was flawed. But the political attacks continue. While the BJP claims vindication of the Prime Minister's policy to fight black money with evidence and numbers to back that, the Congress says